everyone, we're back here in the North American LCS studios in Los Angeles, and we're gearing up for our last match of the weekend. It's Counter Logic Gaming versus Renegades. Now, CLG, once again, as they seem to always do, have shown us that they are masters of the lane swap. They crushed Echo Fox yesterday in a 32-minute, honestly, stomp. They only give up 2 kills and like maybe 1 or 2 turrets.
Yeah, and something that seems to be important so far this season is to get Huhi on Corki. It also did not help, or did help, that he got that blue buff early. And something that was really important last season was that Smithy actually had so much more success on Cinderhulk junglers than he did on non-Cinderhulk junglers. And this season, you know, Cinderhulk junglers are a lot fewer and far between.
Right.
So I feel like Rek'Sai is a really high priority pick for CLG now because Smithy looks much better on it. And he can be the front line, since Darshan is almost always going to be a split push carry champion, you know, a DPS champion, and they're going to need that front line, and that's up to Smithy and Aframu now.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember talking with Darshan like back last split, and I was like, so how do you feel about Maokai? He's like, I hate this champion.
Yeah.
I never want to play a tank again. Anyway, that's enough about CLG for now. I want to talk about Renegades a little bit because much like back in week 1, they finally have their full lineup back together of the teams that have had issues getting their full roster back on stage. Renegades have gotten themselves up there first. Freeze is back as AD carry. And the thing is, Renegades with Freeze are 1-1. That's not too bad. Without Freeze, they're like 0-3.
And Freeze was an absolute monster in the game that they did win. 11 kills as Kalista, more than all of the other members of his team combined. So Renegades are going to have to hope that this is going to help stop their slide and re-energize the team.
And we'll see that's going to be what happens here, but this is, again, full power Renegades. They need to get that push going. If they lose here, they're back down to Echo Fox tier. If they win, they're up at Dignitas at 2-4, which is, you know, maybe a sign of good things to come. And if they beat CLG, that's huge. Either way, though, with Freeze back in the lineup, Aframu says that Renegades getting their bot lane duo back together, and that could help them turn the tide.
Their 2 main threats are Alex, Ish, and then their bottom lane as well. So I think I watched one of their games. They played Kalista Alistar. I think it was the first game of the season for them. And they were really aggressive. And really, they controlled bottom side of the map, just 2 men by themselves. So essentially, they were 2v3 in that game, I'm pretty sure. And they just Kalista ultied Remelia in every single time, going for picks and stuff like that. I don't really think they can replace that strength, even with the sub.
No, they have not been able to.
Yeah.
Not successfully.
They've lost all the games with subs, so there's a chance this goes a lot better. And honestly, as far as sort of specific matchups goes, Stixxay is, I think, the rookiest player on the stage right here. He was at least part of CLG for the entire last year, but in terms of sort of overall stage experience, yeah, Stixxay's got kind of the least. There might be some nits you can pick there, and that means he may get picked off being over-aggressive.
Yeah, the good thing for CLG is that Stixxay has been on their challenger team for a long time, so he's been with the organization for a long time, and very well acquainted with the other players. And he seems to be fitting in with the team really well so far. I have to say, though, on the other side, that bottom lane that they are facing, even with Freeze back, Remy has been targeted over and over in Champion Select, trying to cut down on the Thresh and Alistar specifically and forcing her onto the Morgana.
Yeah, so we'll see what else these guys can do then with their lineups with all 5 people together. We'll see what happens. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side is Counter Logic Gaming. Darshan up in the top lane, probably split pushing. Smithy in the jungle, maybe tanking. Huhi in the mid lane, Stixxay at AD carry, and Aframu on support, who just gave a lot of respect to their enemy bot lane.
And on the red side, it's Renegades. Up top, RF Legendary. In the jungle, Crumbs, mid Alex each. AD carry Freeze, and support Remy. Coach Hermes is up on the stage with them as well.
And that's going to be a interesting battle, of course. CLG, again, they're roughly the kings of early game. I know yesterday we had a sound bite from Aframu saying, yeah, you know, our team fighting is good, but like we screw up everything right before that. And that said, though, CLG still usually win the early games. So it's funny where they're such harsh critics of themselves, even though it still typically works out fairly well.
Yeah,
for the
I mean,
squad.
they have had some games this season where it hasn't gone as planned in the early game. But in general, they've been so good at earning an advantage, specifically for Darshan in the top lane, because that's the way they like to play. Transition extra golden experience on Darshan in the early game into mid-game split pushing in order to earn objectives through that extra pressure. So
here we go. Picks and bans have begun. Okay, apparently we have to remake Champ Select real quick. Darshan had an issue with the client. He banned Alistar and then he's going to have to just try again or something. But we have all 10 players back in the lobby. We'll start Champs League again in a second. I expect the Alistar ban to stand, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's a very
Oh,
smart
he
ban.
gave it away.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, blue side first ban is
one of the
no
most
reactions
common
anyway.
bans against Renegades.
Right, exactly. So, and the thing is, a lot of teams have been willing to play against Thresh because it hasn't seemed to translate into a whole lot for Renegades. And it's always interesting when you're willing to play against a player's like best champion and say, yeah, we'll just deal with it.
That's why I think the Corki is probably going to be the spotlight in this game because it's been the big thing for Huhi. That's where he's had success. He actually has looked lackluster on other champions.
True.
And Alex also just played it yesterday, so it's definitely going to be a contested pick.
I think it does give some edge, at least in this game, to blue side for CLG because they can make sure they grab the Corki or they force it to be banned away. And then I think with that in mind, Renegades has to, if we kind of dive into Champs League a little bit, has to like bait the first pick Corki and leave really good things up otherwise. Because like Kallista's a really big deal for Renegades. Getting another engaged support for Remy is probably a very big deal. The reason I even bring this up is remember when Team Impulse played Gate in the top lane, they baited out a bunch of really good first picks so that they could get Gangplank for Gate because they could get him something comfortable. So we have now got back into Champ Select, and it seems that actually we are letting them redo the bans. I forget exactly what was happening, if Darshan had like been spamming click and hit Alistar. Either way, Kalista was the first ban. Lissandra still banned away by Renegades. Tom Kench off the field as well. No Poppy.
Okay, so if any at all targeted at Remy, it would only be a single ban. So they might just let that Thresh go over to her.
Okay.
Blue side Graves ban, interesting. So maybe Aframu wants it for himself. I still think it's a really big takeaway to steal away Alistar. But Gangplank is up. Gangplank is up. Gangplank is down. Gangplank is taken.
Even above them. All right. And Huhi and Darshan could both do very well in the champion. We've seen Darshan play Gangplank, specifically into Fiora, I believe it was. And it was a more difficult matchup for him. But that's going to be the pickup. So the Corki and the Alistar, two very big champions, are up for Renegades if they want them.
Yeah. Does look like CLG don't feel the Alistar is as much of a threat with Kalista off the board. You know, without giving Remy the pretty free entry into a team fight. I guess they're okay with giving it away. Still got eyes on the Corki.
But taking their time. And I think it's always very smart for a professional team to take as much time as possible so that you can have the discussions around, okay, what would they take if we did this? Because planning the decision tree for 3 bans is a lot of different possibilities.
I think CLG are happy with this takeaway here because I'm pretty sure they wanted Smithy on Rek'Sai anyway, so he will go Cinderhulk. I mean, his Elise game definitely was low impact, not able to land a lot of cocoons. So
yeah, Corki does get taken. I think that one is not a surprise at all. Renegades discussed and they decide those were the champions they wanted. Alistar nor Thresh changing hands actually. So neither team rushing for those picks actually on either side. Maybe going down in priority from what we expected. Or the teams are wrong, one of the two. And CLG.
I'm actually curious what Huhi will play into Corki. Since he's been so good at the Corki side of the matchup.
Yeah.
Really, we've seen the most popular pick be Victor against it for wave clear, to stall out any sort of mid-game poke.
There's the Rek'Sai, as you identified. Caitlyn comes through for Stixay. CLG looking like they want to play that long-range siege style. But you also have to keep in mind there is a chance that Corki flexes down to AD carry.
True.
That's what Cloud9 did just a couple games ago, actually, and they grabbed the Corki and then waited to show that it was actually going to be sneaky playing it.
Yeah, and Huhi very well can play Gangplank. He's played it many times before in solo queue, and it does also provide wave clear if you can get your barrel explosions off late game when you lower the cooldown to clear the waves that way.
And again, Renegades taking their time on this round of picks, but they've got a jungler. I would expect them to leave a flexible solo lane pick for last to try to pin down where the Gangplank is actually going. Gangplank tends to crush most melee matchups and have a harder time against most range matchups as a general sense, and allowing Darshan to flex that, or Huhi to flex that into good matchups can be a risk for Renegades.
Yeah, generally CLG, they will trade a lot of outer turrets anyway, so they don't need to have the Gangplank matchup with Corki until later in the game when he does have access to quick barrel chains, and it makes it much easier for him to deal with ranged champions. Plus, there's the offensive capabilities here. Caitlyn plus Gangplank is ridiculous zone control. If you line up the line of traps in a lane, the siege is insane because you can't even get close to pop a barrel.
Yeah.
The chain will go off. There's traps everywhere. You can't get around all the barrels and the traps. It's a ridiculous spy game.
Yep.
And you die if you mess up.
Yes, you typically die if the Gangplank is to land barrels on you. So, scary stuff here. Renegades have locked in Thresh for Remy. The Lucian does come through for free, so we do know that it is going to be Alex playing the Corki, who, by the way, has an abnormally low attack frame, meaning Corki's auto attack comes out very quickly after starting the animation, which also can help you really mess with barrels because you are stopped for very, very little time when putting an auto attack out there. CLG decide their matchups are going to be Morgana and LeBlanc picked up. So Huhi will take LeBlanc into Corki up there. Darshan is going to be running top lane Gangplank blind. And Kennen will be the matchup here for RF. Rave has got to be doing backflips right now. Happy about the matchup. Kennen should be pretty good in a Gangplank.
Yeah, and plus RF is well-versed on the champion. Yeah. He's used him very frequently. So you talked about the difficulty in ranged matchups. We'll see if RF can punish him. And if Crumbs gets much done with this early game Elise.
And that could be a really big thing here. Early game snowballing can decide games regardless of how the competitions are actually lined up and regardless of how good the teams and players may be. Snowballing is snowballing. Kennen will be able to flank into the siege composition if you can get behind Stixay and co. This could be a lot of damage and a lot of CC lent as the team pushes in. Even Alex Ich can engage a bit on this Corki, so definitely there are tools in for Renegades to break that CLG siege.
Yeah, the playmaking ability of Corki with the package is no longer underestimated after everyone's been seeing it.
I feel like
be so popular, especially from the solo lane. So I think that as soon as that alarm goes off, everybody watches, what direction is Corki going? It's kind of involved into now Corkis, when they pick up the package, they'll go a way that they're not actually going to finish walking to, because everybody knows that you do get that small amount.
And remember, it only lasts for 60 seconds. When you hear that siren, count the timer, count 1 minute, and you're safe afterwards. Now, guys, you at home have seen the champion select. You've seen the comps. Send your votes to @LOL Esports on Twitter. Use hashtag CLGwin or hashtag RENwin for the Renegades. And tell us who's going to be winning this game. We are on to the Rift for our 10th game of the weekend, our 5th game of the day. And here we go to close out Week 3, CLG vs. Renegades. Teams are contained inside the base gates till now, and out they go, fanning out as one does.
All right, right now, it looks like fanning out for defensive wards from Renegades, whereas CLG, maybe they'll go with their same old invade up the red side.
Ooh, Huhi pushed them back, so
they've done it
to go in
over
through
and
a rush.
over. I mean, this is something they've done so many times, though, and Crumbs will get vision.
Oh, what? The bind just barely exhausts on Crumbs already flashed. They got the barrel fire, and wow! Somehow just barely landing the binding. First blood for CLG.
So I'm pretty sure they, a couple patches ago, reduced the width of Morgana binding intended as a nerf, but it snuck right by the Spiderling there. Aframu adjusting very quickly to the new width of that binding and lands it onto Crumbs. Crumbs as well did not expect that to land, or he would have obviously flashed much earlier. But man, look at this binding. He threads right by it. Spiderling not doing its job there.
They're so skinny, the hitbox doesn't really register that easily.
Yeah.
Skill shots hit the edge of models, so.
All right, well, unlucky start there for Crumbs and Renegades as First Blood does go over to the mid lane. Huhi on LeBlanc. An extra Doran's Ring versus Corki is going to be very scary for Alex, and that was going to be their big lane. That was going to be their lane with a lot of mid-game power to rush to Trinity Force. Yeah. We'll see if Hufi can actually keep him down now, because LeBlanc all in is definitely one of the more scary things for that mid lane Corki.
I want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the dark binding there, because I know there's going to be a post where like, whoa, how'd this binding hit?
Oh, yeah.
So keep in mind, almost all projectiles are actually above the ground, like visually. Like they're still anchored to, an XY axis, but if you're looking at it from the camera angle, it being above the ground makes it look like it's farther up than something walking on the ground.
Yeah,
so it via camera angle, it looks like it's going over a Spiderling. But if you were to see from top down, it would be more to the side.
Yeah, normal perspective rules apply. Yeah. The early level 2 there, Phosphorus Bomb landing. Well played by Alex, and extra Doran Ring or not, Alex does get a very good trade off there. Plus, he's got that Corrupting Potion. Starts chugging it for the extra tick of damage. That's definitely something you need to keep in mind when you go with that starting item. Crumbs does get his own Raptor secured. But yeah, start chugging that while you're still in combat so you can get the extra damage off. Even gets the ward kill.
Yeah, you have plenty of time with that one. He was totally okay there. CLG, of course, near the top lane. Darshan
Oh,
comes in.
no!
Oh!
Darshan comes in to help with the cannon kill.
And look at Renegades trying to match the lane matchups here, and they do get in before the wave really reaches the turret, so Freeze will be able to get the CS pretty cleanly.
He's got the cannon, that's
Okay.
what matters.
Yep, got the melees too. They're actually playing the last hitting game really, really well.
Remy helping.
Oh, the attack wasn't ready in time for Freeze. Didn't have enough attack speed there.
A little too much helping for people up in the top lane.
And
Now
CLG want mirrored lanes. Or, sorry, reversed lanes.
Yeah. Renegades do. Interesting. So they don't want to try and go with the Kennen versus Gangplank. Rather try and force that swap here. And because they swapped again, CLG lose out a little bit of time getting back down to the bottom. Let's see if that does pan out in the advantage here.
Onto Alex, and I like this. Huhi actually able to jump back to the range where his tether is still on the Corki, but he's outside of Gatling gun range, which is just sort of an increasingly built advantage there.
So Renegades are going to recall again here immediately the duo lane, and they're going to try and find bottom as well. They do not want to swap towers.
Right, Renegades wants the 2-on-2, and CLG wants the mismatch lanes. It looks like to me. Or it's the turret pushing thing, but they've been trying to seek out Freeze and Remy versus Stixxay and Aphromoo, and RF versus Darshan. Easy barrel kill.
Yeah, Caitlyn plus Morgana early game.
So far, RF doing a great job of timing his auto attacks against these barrels. Darshan last thing what he can. But you're going to see 18-4 in minions is not a good thing for this Gangplank.
Brush camp here from CLG is going to use up a lot of Smithy's time, jungling time. If they're not successful, Crumb's starting to catch up here. You know, after that really rough early start there, giving up his flash.
That W landed, he could have ignited for a chance at a kill. Really close stuff there. All is well so far, though. And interestingly, yeah, CLG trying to make the big plays. Right now, they're really only winning the mid lane.
Yeah. Crumb's also already early back, so he's got the extra wards coming out of his tracker and snipe, as well as his pink ward. And that just really speaks to his style that we talk about all the time of being very vision-centric, trying to set that up early. Meanwhile, Smithy will do another full clear of all the small camps. Predicting the dodge there, I believe, Remy. But long enough range that Stixxay had plenty of time to see the trajectory of the hook and does not dodge into it.
Just barely got away. Aphromoo, of course, does have a point in black shield here. Smithy looking for a way around, but this Wolf Spirit lets him know what's going on. Crumbs gets some free damage over the wall.
Yeah, Smithy's like, ooh, I have
and he's in a really
tremor
bad
sense,
spot.
but
hook does not quite land. That was so close.
Still close here.
Should have a way out. Flash Cocoon, and look at that. A great find by Aphromoo. No chance at all. They're still putting some damage in, but all is well.
I don't know about that one there from Crumbs.
Yeah, it's a bit aggressive. Huhi getting a lot of damage on Alex. Alex forced to run. Valkyrie's away.
Level 6, LeBlanc. You got to give that up. You cannot hold your ground there. Actually kind of surprised that Huhi took the distortion back and didn't just stay up front. Even taking, you're forced to take another couple autos, but maybe he didn't have the cooldowns to finish him off.
Yeah, maybe not. Ignite still used. No heal burn, though, by Alex Ich, who he thought he had the damage to win the all-in. Wasn't the case. Alex recalls, walks back to lane. Great hook on Aphromoo, but there's no follow-up there, so the hook just means about 80 damage and not much else. Quick laugh from Remy. No recall stop there from Aphromoo either. And missing one CS under the turret. All said and done, though, CLG got that first blood at the very start of the game, and Renegades have outlaned so hard the gold is equal.
Well, they've actually forced the recall. So remember, it was that constant recalling there from CLG. To be fair, yes, they have outlaned as well. You know, as they've shook out here, RF Legendary has been punishing Darshan up in the top lane, you know, abusing that range mismatch. But yeah, CLG choosing to lose out on some minions by going to answer the lane swap.
RF, oh, another one you can trigger Thunderlords with. Empowered W plus active W.
Yep.
2 stacks for the auto attack, 1 stack for the active. So whittling him down with Thunderlords, who he got blue buff. That was given over by Smithy, thankfully. Who he is winning the lane matchup. Of course, the early 400 gold helps, and is still winning in CS over Alex Ich here. Smithy clears away a pink. Warden says, hey, remember how top lane's aggressive? You better not do that anymore. I'm Rek'Sai. Be afraid. Another quick trade. He lands QRE.
Yeah, Huhi actually attracting a lot of attention here now.
Can Remy predict the hook? Can she do it?
I think she showed.
Okay. Because at some point, Huhi was going to W to kill the caster minions. And if she guesses right, hook, line, and sinker, he goes down. I heard the I get it yell. I mean, it wasn't that clever. But I'm glad you got it. Thanks. You're fine. Thank you, guys. But we have a game to play, guys. The jokes aren't important. It's the League of Legends play that is. 200 gold lead only for Counterlogic Gaming. Dual lane, plus 20 minions, though some are on the field. Stixay and Freeze doing battle as AD carries. Hook, dodged.
Yeah, keeps predicting dodges upwards, but Stixay has yet to dodge upwards on camera. One of these times he'll do it, maybe. First package of the game.
Within 50 seconds of it spawning, too, so Alex like recalled right away for that.
Yeah.
And his purchase is terrible, by the way. Just has so little money. He got a couple of crystals and boots.
The most often, I see it used in bottom lane while bottom lane is still under leveled, but you would need more support, I believe, because Gangplank Ultimate coming down would be instant support there from CLG.
I think they could have.
Whereas you're going to have to wait for the teleport. RF Legendary is definitely in a position to teleport down, and a Cannon Ultimate would also be devastating, but it would take a little bit longer to finish channeling.
Yeah. Positionally, it felt like they actually could have sent Crumbs and Alex down there,
and
then had the threat of an RFTP and just straight dived CLG 30 seconds ago. Alex instead walks to the mid lane. After he clears it, maybe he'll go for it, but really not seeing a lot happen with this Corki. That might have been a missed opportunity, to be honest.
Good binding there for a little bit of harass.
Close one.
Smithy actually doing an invade right now is seen by a pink ward, as well as that mid green ward to clear out. But he's happy to just play the farm game, especially on Rek'Sai.
Right now, the makings of a Zhonya's for RF Legendary. Smithy has gone towards the center Hulk. No rushed Sightstone. You assume he'll get one since he went for Chilling Smite here. Meanwhile, Karams did in fact go for Smite Stone, so he's already got the wards. You mentioned that much earlier in this game. Darshan again being poked out, but actually catching back up in this lane matchup.
Yep.
Right? RF gets free CS for killing barrels, and it's 66-61. Really impressive play by Darshan to, in a way, win this lane matchup.
I mean, it gets so much easier as you level up as Gangplank, and the cooldown on your barrels drops, and the timer on them.
Yeah.
The fuse, I guess, drops.
Crumbs gets revenge in the pink ward. Has 2 wards inside his tracker's knife right now, and we'll see just what he tries to get vision of. Remy roaming around, her Sightstone's done, and plops one in front of the Raptors. No real deep wards, though. Thing is, I forget when they last saw Smithy, but Renegades had a fair bit of room on this bottom side of the map to get some wards down. Anytime you see the jungler on the other side of the map, that's your cue to get deep wards down as support, because you know you're not going to really get jumped on. You can shove the wave and get a bunch of deep wards down. As it stands, they can't track CLG's Smithy that easily.
Nope. And currently hovering around mid lane here, getting a deep ward of his own.
Huhi.
Despite the first blood, Alex has been able to CS pretty well.
Yeah.
Huhi is going for the early Abyssal, which is just such an efficient item and helps out so much in this matchup with a lot of extra magic damage being added to Corki's kit due to the auto attack after the rework.
Looks like Crumbs found the pink ward, so Smithy's was very short-lived there. Of course, they find the pink that was put down by Renegades bottom lane as well, and they're just playing the ward trading game right now. Gotta collect them all.
RF really close to completing that Zhonya's Hourglass, in which case Renegade's teamfight gets significantly more threatening.
What you just saw there in the bottom lane is kind of the way you should always play bot lane. When you see a cannon minion get low, they will go for that last hit. So both the hook and the piercing light from Freeze came out, as even did the Black Shield from Alpha Moon, knowing that they would go for this play. So everyone was like, at this time, Stixay is going to be attacked by stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone played it more or less optimally. Just
doubly so. Yeah, doubly so for cannons, but you can do the same thing on melees.
Ooh, Black Shield comes in late, so Stixay did get hooked in. Aftermoo, not quite on the ball for that one.
It has attracted a lot of attention, though. Both junglers as well as Huhi roaming down.
With how low CLG's bot lane is, they can't really participate in this fight. Afro could, I guess, try to exhaust an ult, but Stixay could really only just send snipes down from the back lines. Huhi's roam turns into pretty much nothing here. And the gold lead keeps fluctuating back and forth. Gangplank gets free money by being Gangplank. CLG getting pushed down to the bottom lane. Again, another trade. Huhi getting some damage on Alex. He can never quite get the kill.
Yeah. Ooh, Gangplank ult was used to clear the wave here. So Darshan gonna have a little bit less threat up on the top side. With the all-in.
He nearly landed the jump forward and actually can't stay for the second half of the E to land. So a little bit of damage missed thanks to a good Valkyrie and good counterattack by Alex Ich.
Yeah. The drawback of doing the Abyssal is that Abyssal doesn't have the mana regeneration built into it that something like Morello's or the Frost Queens does. And so he does get extremely low going for all these harassment moves.
Alright, gets to kill a pink. Remy's coming in for Huhi. He goes for the flash, the flay, the hook! But it's the clone, so Crumbs jumps in, he gets the damage, there's a kill! Renegades the first one on the board. Great play by Remy, great follow-up by Crumbs.
3 flashes, a heal, and an ignite, I believe. But they got the kill.
They got the kill.
Thanks for reiterating.
I'm with you on this one, Kobe.
All right.
What else will I yell alongside you?
Let's see what CLG will get back next.
Let's see what CLG will get back next.
CLG.
Smithy, CLG. I don't know.
All right.
I mean, they have a female Counter-Strike team. They missed such an opportunity.
Oh, Remy does get hit with the bind.
Remy getting a ton of damage. She might go down. The exhaust on and Stixay gets the kill. Now Afro flashes away from his own base, but lands the bind on a freeze, but walks into Crumbs. The flash means nothing. The team comes in, picks up a kill back.
Yeah, only delays the death there, but Darshan actually canceled his teleport, so they gave up on Afromu, and it was actually a good choice because he does get to shove the wave into the turret. Looks like he's backing off very quickly, though.
The calls that Alex had gotten.
As Alex may have showed right when he picked up the package that he was going top.
I don't think he had it yet.
It was just a regular roam then, I guess.
It was a regular recall and push.
All right, well, it ended up being the 1-for-1 kill here, as both supports do end up going down. But again, the cancel teleport there for Darshan meant a couple more minions. I think that did transition into Dragon. Nope, not into Dragon. They actually just recalled instantly afterwards.
Yeah.
It's not that very big deal.
I guess you did have it, you're right.
Yeah, see? You really have to respect that. That's the only reason you would really respect that rotation that much. Otherwise, Darshan would be confident to take another wave there, pressure the turret, but Corky package.
Yeah, I misremembered the cooldown. I thought it was 7 minutes, not 5. So it was back up, and I was like, oh, it couldn't be. I'm just
Then who?
I'm just... Well done. All right, a lot of damage coming out of Huhi. Still trying to chuck Alex Ich down, but of course, with all the long-range ordnance that this Corky has, Alex really can just get the farm anyway, and even push before Huhi can. So, no major concerns here for the Renegades mid laner.
Yeah, honestly, it is going to come down to that big team fight. First big team fight that we see. Depending on who gets the better AoE off, you really have to respect the Gangplank barrel chaining as soon as he does get Trinity Force here pretty soon, but Corky as well, combined with a level 11 cannon ultimate. Definitely threatening.
Absolutely. RF for the next 3 minutes, though, does not have teleport. He may have to wait. Darshan.
Yeah, Flash is really the main cooldown that you look for with Kennen. Kennen with Flash, terrifying. Kennen without Flash,
Just a Yordle. Whatever. Yeah, I know I missed a cannon, or a caster minion. Silly freeze. It's okay, though. 171 to 135. Absolutely crushing this bottom lane right now. Renegades have gotten their first turret as well. And it puts them in the, really for one of the first times all game, in a small lead here for Renegades. Ward's getting killed back and forth, as very few champions have been.
All right, with Caitlyn showing bottom, let's see if Renegades try and force something, because that level 11 Flash Kennen definitely has the opportunity to collapse down here. CLG are very deep in Renegades territory, and all 5 Renegades members are top.
Well, Alex just takes a chunk, and Huhi goes right back out. No counter yet for
Crumbs has to be careful here.
Chillings might land no Cocoon, but they're going to put in plenty of damage. Summoner heal used by Alex to get Crumbs out of the fight, and Cocoon back onto Xmithie, who is tanky. Huhi walks in to get some damage, can't land the skill shot onto Alex, though.
So even though nothing happened there, I have to highlight that last couple minutes, just because that was a very risky play from CLG. They're showing their AD carry bottom, yet they're going for a deep invade on Renegades territory when none of Renegades bottom lane are showing. So that very well could have been a punish by Renegades, you know, and get something back versus CLG there. They weren't able to, you know, make a play or, you know, capitalize on that collapse there, but it was an opening.
Well, thankfully for CLG fans, that wasn't killed, and they're going to be okay. 400 gold down. Top lane cleared out by Darshan. The ulti didn't do much. Well, it got things low. The barrel cleared it off, though, and Renegades were unable to keep pushing for that top lane outer turret. Rift Herald will be picked up, though. You can't push him off this, so we'll see if Freeze and Crumbs go for it. Nah. This goes to the AD carry.
I think they're trying to get this turret. So
yeah,
just because I am, you know, pro Rift Herald on junglers doesn't mean that it's always for junglers. You can use it for buffing up the minions as well.
Looks like it'll be enough on this wave, but similarly, CLG had pushed the bottom lane out. That still is going to stand at a 1-turret lead for Renegades. His top lane will almost certainly go down as well. And Renegades continue the turret advantage. This game started in matched lanes, so this is Renegades building their advantages via outplaying CLG. CLG the kings of lane swap, but really not necessarily the kings of 2-on-2s and the basic matchups there. Renegades getting the top lane counter pick, and also just a pretty darn strong duo lane of Freeze and Remy.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does fluctuate depending on the matchups that you pick into in a particular game, obviously. Let's see what CLG do next, because they do acquire that 6% first dragon buff, and it's actually at a fairly decent time to grab. You know, 2-item power spike for the mid laner is significant. AD carry honing in on 2 items as well.
It also really helps Gangplank a bit.
Is that a missed missile there? Oh, is he going for the Trinity Force proc activation only?
Yeah.
Genius.
Well, it's always weird because, so Trinity Force, when you cast a spell, will affect an auto attack already in flight. So sometimes you won't expect to kill the minion, and then you toss a missile, and oh crap, the thing I was going to hit just got killed. Crumbs gets away with the lantern, good save by Remy, and Renegade's not losing too much. They got some damage on mid, but they're okay.
Vision actually has dwindled for both teams here.
Yeah.
And it really is just purely defensive now. So we'll probably see both teams play a bit of a trepid game here.
And it's honestly pretty lacking for CLG, who don't have a Sightstone or Tractor's Knife on their jungler. Smithy is actually rushing the Aegis to give his team a ton of magic resist because of Ken and Elise and Corki. I understand it for the combat stats, but it will hurt CLG's vision game.
As of right now, Renegades just got a decent amount into the blue side jungle. But again, can you even fight the team fight? Because of that giant magic resist aura really adds a lot to the first team fight here. As you mentioned, there's a lot of magic damage on the Renegade squad.
And it's not just the Aegis that matters. The aura goes from 10 to 15 MR when you upgrade to Locket or Banner of Command. So Smithy still has like a 1,200 gold premium to go for to make that aura even stronger. If you really get the full power out of that, Alex forced to package away. This is, I believe, the 3rd pickup, and none have been aggressive just yet, as just Alex hasn't had the space to do so. CLG playing with the proper respect.
Yeah, I wonder if Alex himself turns his current longsword into a Hex Drinker because of that burst. As of right now, though, full traps covering the Tri-Brush. You cannot walk through, and Smithy's on the wrong side of those traps. Will he be able to get out here? He could pop an ultimate down to the bottom side. And he does.
All right. Good escape. Smithy is fine. This, though, is not... Oh, man, binding over the wall on top of a big port. There's the kill. Darshan totally earned that kill.
He saw they needed a little bit more damage there to secure that one.
Just to make sure. I mean, if he flashed into a lantern...
Binding was about to wear off.
Yeah. I mean, he was readed by the LeBlanc, but... You know, we'll just pretend Darshan did the right thing there. Crumbs looking for a play. Keep in mind, this is a 4v5. Nice black shield by Aframu. They're going to stay safe. The game is tied in gold, though. Renegades, again, up 1 turret. CLG up 1 kill. The farm, the various different people are ahead. Some are behind on both these teams here. And it's been a battle of trying to find these one-off advantages. A small fight here, a small fight there. Forcing a recall, getting some turret damage.
Take another look at this binding. Alex put down the pink ward right then just in case too. But the ward CLG had previously placed behind the red buff sees him trailing there, and you can just guess the end of his path.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't change directions or anything, so pretty easy binding there for Aframu, lining it up for the kill. And hand delivered to Darshan in the bot
yes,
lane.
hand delivered to Darshan, who is the true carry of CLG, of course. Landing damage on Alex. Hexdrinker picked up for Darshan as well, actually, so more respect for the magic damage here on the CLG lineup. And if the magic damage burst can't get through, this could be very effective. That said, Freeze is getting very big here. Also, very surprising, despite the records, Renegades being 1-4, actually winning the fan vote. I would not expect that against CLG, but such is the power of the Renegades fandom. And to be fair, they're playing it much closer than many would have expected here. When CLG is challenging second place and Renegades are challenging last.
Yep. We still have yet to see the Kennen ultimate flash in here. Could very well earn them a team fight victory. Gold's still extremely close.
4 points in traps. Stixay can easily set up a whole bunch of pressure. Darshan getting jumped on by Crumbs, gets away, but a flash play by Remy tries to set up the fight. There is the jump in from RF Legendary. He flashed in, popped the zonies, but gets pushed out. Anyway, Crumbs is low. Smithy's forced to run. After the front lines, a flash engaged by Smithy, and it picks up Alex Sitch. The Hoo-Hee clone just absorbing attacks for now. A 1-0.
Why they want Smithy on a Cinderhulk jungler. Rek'Sai, who was able to take a bunch of damage, then re-engage there. Good job by Smithy biding his time, using the flash to go in on Alex.
4-2 in kills. Everyone's quite low. Smithy spotted by a ward, but still could look for the turret flank. This will not happen, though, when Renegades successfully defend their mid lane outer turret. Out they go. 700 gold down.
All said and done. 1 kill.
Yes.
His hands.
And this entire game has been like this. They don't quite have the closing power to get all of the kills. The engage comes in the front, and there's not quite enough follow-up damage. So it's a game of posturing and trying to make the correct plays, and then it's very, very, very close and doesn't quite turn into a lot. But at some point, especially with the respawn timers now being almost 30 seconds long, this game could explode.
All right, so here's the teleport from RF in the backside, so we can see the full initiation here. He does go for the 2 backline members, Stixay and Hoo-Hee, and he did get the stun off, but there were so many summoners available, everybody almost ends up burning their flash.
Yeah.
As soon as Alex goes in, though, binding from Aframu, and Smithy is also able to jump in after that.
And it was such a good ulti by RF. He stunned basically everyone, but the rest of Renegades weren't in range to follow up. It felt like they didn't expect Kennen to be there. They were so afraid of LeBlanc hitting them and the Caitlyn hitting them that they had sort of waited and was like, oh, they're stunned. Oh, and they had no damage to deal. Well, RF's first great flank, they're not turning much. Oh, what a cocoon by Crumbs! But Hoo-Hee will stay alive. But Cocoon right in the face through the distortion forward.
Yeah. The other thing is that, so Renegades, while you're like, oh yeah, they do need to fully commit, you know, and try and follow up on this, you have to be very wary of the Gangplank barrel placement already.
True.
For all the damage follow-up here from Renegades. Because, you know, as good as a nice kind of ultimate on the backline can be, you know, stunning everyone up, a Gangplank barrel chain will actually just kill people outright. So.
Fair point. And it looks like enough respect was given to Darshan's damage that there was no immediate engage. Hoo-Hee wave playing the best that he can. Smith is around to land some AoE as well, and looks like CLG can hold the mid lane for now. Still only 1 turret for these guys. 27 minutes in. And as much as Hoo-Hee can try to chunk Alex, it's not the most headway.
He did go for that Hexdrinker second. We're looking forward with the longsword. So
yeah.
Hexdrinkers on both sides.
And early Alacrity boots as well for this Corki, so a lot of movement speed. Of course, you want the Magic Pen because you're Corki, you need the Sork shoes, but getting the move speed that Boots of Swiftness would have given you by getting Alacrity.
I'm really not a big fan of Alacrity. It's definitely a very low cost efficiency there as far as how much move speed you're buying, especially when there are so many other sources of move speed in the game now, but not easily available to Corki, so I guess he really, really wanted that to try and dodge some bindings from Aframu as well as the chains from Hoo-Hee here.
Yeah.
Could pay off. I mean, dodging one of those bindings will mean the difference between life and death. As we saw in the last team fight, it was the death of Alex, so.
Yeah. What's interesting is if you start doing the math on item costs and whatnot, at a certain point you just decide that movement speed quints.
I mean, it's all relative to the value you put on it, right?
Right. Well, the thing is, like, you can look at your builds and say, if I bring move speed quints, I can get that same move speed and just save 450 gold for a different item. And oftentimes, that's just more efficient.
Yeah, and move speed is really interesting, too, just because, yes, it's multiplicative with the percentage increases as well as the flat increases that you're buying, but also there are reduced returns the higher move speed you get as far as how quick you actually end up moving. Alex chunked out again, and the Headstreaker is popped.
He didn't actually have to flash. Hextrinker would have blocked all the damage from the Gangplank ulti. Even still, the Hextrinker loses the flash. Heal is still up for him, but will have to recall and heal up with the home guard boost that everyone gets. Mid lane outer does finally go down. CLG getting success with that siege and pushing up to a 1,700 gold lead here, so their advantages are finally building up. Huhi dodges both skill shots and gets some damage on a Crumb. Smithy now in the wings looking for what would be a too risky dive. No binding there. Huhi wants in freeze on the wrong side, but doesn't get assassinated just yet.
And we should credit Huhi because there was a lot of speculation. Oh, can he only play Corki? He's only had successful Corki games. They've done really well. Yes, he did get that first blood super early in the level 1, but here we go.
Good Black Shield stops Flay from doing anything. The box actually does nothing as well, so Remy not getting enough of the skills through. RF gonna get slowed down by a barrel, and the team can't follow up, so RF stuck alone. Thankfully gets a Lantern and not die to a Dark Binding, but the team is not gonna re-engage from CLG. A chunk comes through, freeze by himself, but pushing CLG away.
Oh, luckily for Renegades, somebody thought really quickly there and auto-attacked that barrel. Darshan was about to explode on the other side of the wall, so they were not chunked again. But the first chain there is exactly what we're talking about. Line up the barrel chain, even though RF goes all in, gets the flash off, barrel chain slows and damages the back line.
Freeze ignited but stays alive. Now Huhi forced to run Ignite is on him as well, but a chunk onto Alex Cinch, and that will be 2 kills picked up as Remy goes down to 1 and Alex drops to the other. CLG now 6-2, and they've got control of the mid lane. They're pushing in for a turret right now. Barrel Chain's gonna slow down Crohn's, but he's tanky enough to not go down. But still the push comes through. Cinderhulk Elise is the only real front line that Renegades have right now. But now 3 turrets picked up for CLG.
Pretty big push right there for them. Finally being able to turn these 2 kills into an objective for themselves. Secondary turret plus second dragon go down easily. Well, maybe Renegades try and chase them out. It's a risky chase for them. Smithy can stay in there and tunnel.
Good smite. Darshan forced to run. Cooling does a lot of damage though, and Barrel's force freeze far enough away. CLG should be safe to recall and heal back up and get back on the field. Top lane already being shoved back by Huhi. Mid lane, Renegades will be there first, but we'll see what happens.
All right, let's see. Huhi going for the burst here. Ooh, flashing for it as well. And the binding means Alex can't take it for him either. Ends up turning around on Huhi, but outnumbered here as both Crumbs and RF were back in the base or behind the turret there on the left side.
Great catch by CLG, the ability to, and the willingness to flash forward and take everything they possibly can. And it's grown CLG a bit of a lead. Like when we've talked about the problems of Renegades, it's been their seemingly inability to start the fights that they want. And we've talked about, oh yeah, get the Alistair away from Remy, which to be fair did, not really happen as much in this game. But
decided not to pick.
Renegades, right. Like, CLG have found ways to get in, whether it's like a flash binding or something, but CLG have actually gotten these picks, and Renegades have actually kind of been at the mercy of what CLG wants to do and haven't been able to, outside of getting some good pushes and some good laning phases, not been able to sort of exert their will in this game.
Oh, and again, remember the point about zoning with the Gangplank plus Caitlyn. The team that CLG have drafted here is just so good at setting up control with these trap spam as well as the barrel chaining, just because they were able to snag that first pick Gangplank, which was such a high priority.
Ooh, Stixay nearly got hooked under turret. It had turret aggro as well, so that could have been a large amount of health off of Stixay. As it stands, the team is all right. Another chunk on Alex down to half HP. Crumbs taking some pain, but of course, again, it is tank Elise, so not the most dangerous.
Yeah, good net right there. That was close. He does have Quicksilver Sash, but would prefer to hold on to the cooldown.
CLG looked for top lane tier 2, couldn't quite get it, but they did lock down that outer turret, which means that score is 4-0 in turrets, 2-0 in Dragon, 6-2 in kills. CLG have been slowly and steadily building their leads here. It's actually a double Aegis team as Aftermoo has the Banner of Command in addition to Smithy's Locket.
Yeah, and they've slowly been moving up their ward line towards the Baron Pit now. 4 Crumbs just cleared that one out. They had 4 standing. I believe Stixay, the only one not dropping his yet, still has it in inventory. And they can easily replenish that one as well. So Baron baits, definitely a real thing as well. You can also use the traps to cut off these jungle entrances, not just great for sieging.
And we'll see what the next step is then. Remy doing the best that she can to clear these wards away. Puts a lantern down, sees Smithy.
I think they are going to try and set up for this Baron bait because face checking into hidden barrels with the possibility of LeBlanc and Morgana picks is extremely scary. Oh, Crumbs gets run out of his own jungle, and they're going to try and huddle on turret again. Maybe the siege comes through.
Maybe. Right now, RF on the bottom side of the map and has to clear away a mini-wave that's pretty close to his own turrets.
That was the they only have one blue trinket here for Renegades with which to check the Baron and with which to check any of these brushes. So they have to be very careful to dodge any bindings that Aftermoon throws out.
Smithy thanks the culling. That could have been a whole bunch of pain, but Renegades are out of wards in a way. I don't even think there are any stacks left on the Tracker's Knife or the Sightstone here. But they have snuck that pink ward into the Baron pit, and until CLG clears that away, there's no threat of a bait. CLG actually going to reset, and now they are on TP disadvantage. Darshan can global ult to participate in some way, but RF has teleport, whereas Darshan does not. And RF has distortion boots as well, so that will continue to be a lower cooldown.
Yeah, so it looks like CLG going to go into farm mode then. They actually retreat from all the wards that they set up around Baron for a while. Renegades still have to be careful about clearing them out though, because after you see CLG recall, even though we can see the rest of the map and we know all members have recalled, Renegades have no idea. Although Blanc could still be lurking in one of those brush and easily pop someone.
The Renegades have dumped all their wards back into this topside jungle, so they know most of what's happening on this area of the map. Very little vision around Dragon and the Baron pit itself. But it does allow them to really track Smithy and all these roams and ganks and dives and whatnot.
Yeah. Darshan also able to push up here on RF to the bottom turret, and it looks like they are going to swing everyone from mid right over down to the bottom side and try and take this out of the turret.
But it's too late. The bottom turret already goes down. CLG assigned their lanes properly, and another turret has fallen thanks to really great map play by CLG. Renegades fought so hard to get the top jungle back, and CLG said, that's cute. Congrats on your wards, your bot turret's dead.
Yep, by taking away all the vision coverage here from Renegades. They have to take the long way around when transitioning from one objective to the other. Not quick enough, and CLG claims some more global gold for themselves.
They've already come back to this top jungle after we killed a couple wards away. Now Smithy and co will knock down the Baron ward as well. Blue trinket already back on cooldown. Freeze has been using that pretty much whenever possible just to put that blue ward down.
Yeah. I honestly think that they probably need another one upgraded. But they're sticking with the yellows. They want to try and drop some wards with more permanence. Even though CLG have been very clear that they're willing to spend not only the money, but also the item slots to keep pink wards in inventory to move them around. And 2 sweepers on CLG means that even with the double yellow trinkets, none of these yellow trinkets are lasting for Renegades. When you're super far behind, generally we see teams flood with pink or blue trinkets so they don't get baited. But CLG gonna actually go for the Baron this time around. Burnt down really quickly.
Gonna try to punish his lack of vision. Crumbs will have to just walk from over the wall, but look at that binding. It guarantees no steal with no contest at all. Counter Logic Gaming takes down Baron at 36 minutes. CLG continue their slow and measured control of this game.
All right, that Baron buff is definitely going to be some siege on inhibitor turrets here for CLG now. And we are going to see more of the same from them. So instead of looking at that, let's look at what Renegades can try and do, even though they're so desperate right now. Well, when's the package coming up? That would at least give them some hope for playmaking. Ooh.
You can't track and spectate.
Yeah, unable to close in. But it's not available now, so we know they don't currently have it. And they're just going to have to try and huddle and hope for a misplayed dive there from CLG. You can still punish a dive very heavily with a cannon.
Well, speaking of this cannon taking a lot of pain right there, Remy's lantern doesn't quite come out in time, but RF will survive, and it's a short cooldown anyway. CLG have so far played the game slow and steady, right? Only 8 kills in the entire game at 37 minutes and change so far. They're going to keep splitting up the team. Top lane tier 2, the only
RF teleporting
up. Freeze
really deep.
And here's RF on the back lines. Here comes the push, and an exhausted early Stixxay takes some damage, pops QSS, but Alex is in. Stixxay for some flash to stay alive, but there's the kill into Alex. Corky is gone. Smithy taking the front line, but will be killed off. A great play by Remy. And look at that by Freeze. Picks up another kill, but trades his life for it. Both AD carries now gone. The flash, the binding hits Remy. Will be dying. It's gotta be. And there's another kill, a double for Huhi, a 3 for 2 in favor of Counter Logic Gaming.
Yeah, even though CLG come out way ahead, that was honestly a good attempt by Renegades. They tried to punish the teleport discrepancy there with Darshan not having his available and just rush the backline. But Alex committing that far to follow up on the damage there and try and follow up on RF's initiation meant that Alex was then exposed and he ended up going down as well. So CLG are still able to turn it around, and it looks like they will be able to press in on the inhibitor turret as well.
Some pretty smart plays. Top lane had no wave left. Mid lane did, though, so they pushed right on in, and you're going to get at least some damage on this turret.
Yeah, Aframu also went with the Banner of Command since Smithy already has a locket. So they were able to Banner plus Baron that minion to grab the top one.
And that's inhibitor turret down. Not long ago, Darshan had solo Dragon. We saw that on your screen. So that 3 buffs is up, and the 4th one will be quite a while away as CLG continue to take these small measured advantages where each fight is just slightly in their favor.
All right, so let's take another look at this. RF's teleporting in. They saw Darshan on the bottom side of the map, so this is a 5 versus 4. This is basically the best attempt they're going to get. But the exhaust onto RF by Aframu as soon as he comes in means not enough damage to finish off Stixxay there. Alex exposed because he went to follow up, and they almost were able to get the Caitlyn, but can't finish it off. Freeze flashes in to finish off Stixxay, but as you know, he answers quickly.
Yeah, when you got Sword Shoes and Abyssal Scepter, you do true damage to these AD carries, and even though Freeze had Maw, he had a Hex Drinker. I think he got Maw afterwards. Okay. Yeah, it just wasn't enough to survive. He got chunked out really hard.
You can say that. Chunked out when your whole life bar disappears.
Yep, it's a big chunk. It's the entire thing.
It's the largest chunk possible.
That counts, right?
Yes, sir.
I got a Sir out of that one. Nice. I was so
Sir,
glad you used
David
Sir.
Freak Turley, the package is available.
All right.
It's still available.
It's still being carried by Alex Ich, like an inverse Quinn situation, kind of.
But you know what's not available is the flash for Kennen, which, as we said, takes away so much of the playmaking potential there.
But neither are the flashes of CLG, so theoretically, there's no easy way out, and just maybe something happens. Cocoon just misses onto Xmithie. Renegades have not yet pulled the trigger to go in. This is a tight situation, though. No inhibs are dead just yet, and there is a decent gold lead for CLG, but this is not outside of Renegade's ability to win.
Especially if they actually get the stun from RF's ultimate and the package goes over it. There's a ridiculous amount of damage in that package.
Huhi looking for the chunk. Black Shield is on. Bursts out Remy. It's a 5v4, and in goes CLG. That was the cue. That was the sign. Oh, man. The damage is already there as Alex Ich has dropped on Corki. RF not going to buy enough time. A 3-for-0 in this fight, and CLG might have the numbers they need to close the game out. Still some damage from Freeze, but they push in. They're going to knock him down despite the Maw. Huhi's staying afloat, and they get the ace as Crumbs is the last one to die. 14-4. There are minions already. There is nothing stopping CLG from winning. And in our longest game of the day yet, a whole 41 minutes, CLG move into second place with the win.
Yep, congratulations to CLG and a well-deserved victory there.
So much pressure.
Slow and steady won the race for them. And the early game was close. Honestly, Renegades with Freeze won the 2-on-2. They won the early game outside of that first blood that, of course, happened in the very, very early part of the game, but they knocked more turrets down than CLG. Yeah, they won a couple of fights.
Honestly, such a rough, level 1 there, where the LeBlanc gets first blood in the LeBlanc-Corki matchup. Huhi was able to leverage that into a lot of pressure all game long. And when you've got a Morgana on your team, Aframu able to lend the black shield to Huhi means that this LeBlanc that has had so much success early game is able to poke you with her all-in abilities, without fear of the hook and without fear of the cocoon locking him down. So, really hard to combat that towards the late game.
And it's honestly looking like Huhi doing badly is the exception rather than the rule. We said he's only been good on Corki, but is he bad otherwise? Huhi did triple the damage of Darshan this game. Gangplank is no slouch in terms of damage now. He even stole some kills with the ultimate, but 36,000 damage from Huhi, roughly double what Stixxay did, triple what Darshan did. A massive performance from the rookie mid laner here of CLG. Huhi put in a lot of work. He won his mid lane. He's the only guy who actually won his lane on CLG.
Definitely a big carry for the team, earning them not only a 1 lane, but also the objectives through chunking Alex constantly. We almost, every time we panned mid, Alex was chunked out, had to go back to base, or had to use his package defensively to get out of range.
It's beautiful stuff. So Counter Logic Gaming end week 3, 4-2. The only teams with equal or better records are Energy, also at 4-2, and Immortals at 6-0. Now that does move Renegades down to 1-5. They are tied for last with Echo Fox, but the quality of gameplay makes me think that this team can definitely pick up some wins now in the future with Freeze back on the roster. You played CLG close.
They definitely looked a lot better.
There's a real good chance for this. So we might see many good things out of Renegades soon, but CLG, of course, great in their own right. But for now, going to check out with Riv, who's standing by with a winner.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. We're rounding out week 3 here. I'm joined by STIX of Counter Logic Gaming after the victory over Renegades. Another win for you guys on the up and up. It doesn't seem like there's too many troubles, but I'd want to know a little bit more about you, STIX, the new AD carry on CLG. What was it like coming up to play for Counter Logic Gaming, filling the shoes of Double Lift and kind of becoming a part of this organization?
It was definitely a lot of pressure. Feeling Double Lift, he's like one of the best AD carries, and I always look up to him a lot. So it was definitely a lot of pressure for me to perform, but I think I'm doing a better job every week. So
that's awesome. And a little more about you. What kind of player are you? Are you a leader, a follower? Do you like to take aggressive moments to yourself? How do you kind of approach the game?
Well, back when I was in the Challenger scene, I guess I was kind of known as like a lane dominant player and usually pretty aggressive. But since joining CLG, I'm usually a bit more reserved and not too like crazy now. So I just kind of play how the team wants.
So a little bit more of a follower. Do you feel like you're going to be able to grow a lot in that position with your style of play?
Yeah, definitely. I just do pretty much what the team wants me to, and just keep doing what I'm doing. And
stay on the back line, be safe, let Aframu bind, get Darshan on the front line. Everything's been working out, but I do have a question. It's going to be a tough matchup next week. You guys have Immortals to go against. How are you going to prepare?
Well, we're going to practice a lot, play a lot of solo queues, stuff like that, and I think it'll be a really good match. Looking forward to playing versus my friends in the bot lane, so it'll be cool.
Awesome. Hopefully you can take them down. It's always a better feeling when that happens. Congratulations on the win once again. Best of luck to the team in the future. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day now.
Thank you very much, Riv. A good win there for CLG, but really the focus here, I want to throw it onto Renegades as Freeze is back in the lineup. And I feel that CLG, to me, actually, is a good team to compare the ones that we're uncertain about because of their consistency. We talk about how good they are in lane swaps, and we even see that their level 1 is rather consistent, so they do a lot of the same things, so you get an opportunity to see the different teams react to CLG's play.
And some of our Renegades is this game, they actually managed to neutralize the lane swap very well, and eventually CLG just kind of settled on a standard laning phase in which they were losing. There was also a point in this game where Freeze was at something like 320 CS 30 minutes in incredible pace. So even though Renegades did eventually lose to CLG, definitely much better with Freeze than with the substitutes.
Yeah, I love the point about matching the lane swap, right? They noticed that the lane swap happened. They hard push the wave, recall, meet them up in the top lane. CLG says, no, we're going to keep this lane swap. They recall.
Yeah.
Renegade says, nah, not going to happen. We'll follow you around the map all day if that's what you want.
When's the last time we saw someone actually follow a lane swap? And it works so well in this context because sometimes they're worried about, well, if we're a little late on one of the moves, then we're just going to get dove and we're going to lose turrets and we're going to be slow. But Renegades, at least in the early game, was on top.
Yeah, to Freak's point, they definitely did look better with Freeze in the lineup. Where things started to fall apart, though, actually were on individual bases for me. We saw things like Crumbs flashing into Cocoon, the one target who can orange himself out of the Cocoon. So some small mechanical things. Obviously, bummer first blood there given over, which gives LeBlanc a pretty large advantage in the mid lane, 400 gold plus experience advantage. Didn't make Alex's job any easier. So those kind of minor things, though, I feel if I'm, on a team, I'm saying these are things we can fix. That's not a problem. These larger macro stuff, that's the stuff where if we have it on lock, it's just about raising our individual play up to it.
Absolutely. And I do want to point out as well, CLG was probably pretty content playing it slow because they know late game LeBlanc and late game Gangplank can get pretty nuts, which may have been why CLG didn't push the lane swap as hard. But I do want to echo your point as well for Renegades. The mid to late game mistakes were there, and they still haven't been able to find a clean way of initiating fights because Obviously, it's difficult when you're not really far ahead, but the fact that they actually have a lot of these games where they're pretty even, and they're just consistently losing those.
They did try a few new things, though. We had the cannon, right? So when they had a flash, TPs into the back line, trying to flash in and engage. They were lucky enough to get the Thresh there for Remy, so some form of engage. They weren't requiring the Callista, but still, as you mentioned, not finding the exact success that they needed out of it. If we flop over to CLG's side, it was already mentioned, but Huhi coming up big. His damage statistics there were fabulous. Stixay being kind of a rock on that Caitlyn. So with them, it really did, and actually Kobe's illustrated point of the Rek'Sai, having Xmithie on a tank, right? We did have that one kind of funny
He
fight
always has the one champion. It's whether it's Gragas, whether it's Rek'Sai, just the thing that he wants to play, and he will play it every game because the team just works very well around that. And Huhi finally put Saturday and Sunday together. Those are the important things for him right there. 2 good games in a row, really happy with Huhi's play finally this week.
Yep, so that's about does it for that game. Closing out the weekend here, let's check out how the teams are ranked after 3 weeks of play. Leading the pack and still undefeated, it's Immortals. Off of their win, though, CLG has tied with Energy for 2nd place, while the bulk of the teams are tied for 3rd. And Team Dignitas are sitting just ahead of Echo Fox and Renegades, who are tied for 9th place. Now, a lot of top-tier play this week, but there were a few that stood out in their positions, starting in the top lane with Huni. I mean, Huni, we mentioned it.
Yeah.
That Quinn pressure there that pulled people to the top lane was nuts.
Yeah, his champion pool is expanded to the point where he has counter picks for all the OP things, and he was something like 40 to 50 CS up at 10 minutes over solo in the top lane, and that's not even counting the good game he had on Saturday.
Yeah, it's always a struggle when you look at the Immortals guys to determine who's the real star of that team because they're always performing so well. We move to the jungle, we're going to find Dardoch of Team Liquid.
Yeah, this was a really hard choice between Reignover and Dardoch as far as who we'd want for OP in the jungle, but the impact that Dardoch had this week for Team Liquid, if you compare him with Reignover, everyone on Immortals did amazingly, so it's really hard to differentiate yourself. But Dardoch differentiated himself as a new power jungler in North America, and he'll want to keep up this level of play as the weeks progress.
Yeah, Reignover close 2nd, but Dardoch kind of being that linchpin for the team. It started with that level 3 outplay there on Graves against the Elise. Love to see that. Graves, one of my favorite champions right now. We move to the mid lane. Huhi is our OP mid laner.
Yeah, and like we said, he put Saturday and Sunday together. A tremendous Corki game that was aided by Xmithie giving him blue buff in the early game, but that's not your recipe for an amazing Corki game. He did everything there. Then again, a fortuitous start with first blood in the CLG game, but you have to be able to transition. His one shot in freeze in that mid to late game team fight that we just saw was crucial in CLG being able to close out that win.
Yeah, Q ult W there on the LeBlanc. 202 yesterday, 617 today. Huge damage statistics, so he is definitely showing up as the rookie for that team this split. 80 carry. Piglet.
Finally, his hard work has paid off this week because he had so many good games in Team Liquid's defeats where no one else was able to pick it up, and then eventually Piglet would die and the team would fall apart. This week, he continued his strong play, but other people came to back him up, and he gets the nod.
Also wonderful to see him succeed and to see kind of that relief on his face. We've gotten to see those post-game moments where the hugs come through and you see that moment of like, okay, it's paying off. We found the recipe for success.
Plus, he's had a couple of games now where the team has a bad start, and he hasn't tilted off the face of the earth, which he said he used to do, so it's a good improvement.
A lot of improvement for him there. Finally, our support is going to go to Afromu.
Yeah, 2 Morgana games, one of the classic champions.
We had
Picks up
montages
first blood.
last year of his Morgana.
Picks up first blood in both games by landing good bindings for his team, and always solid play. Incredibly timely exhaust just now against RF Legendary on top of the rest of the play.
Yep, it's just such awareness there, and as you mentioned, just being a part of those first bloods, getting the ball rolling for his own team, it seems, every single time. All right, well, the Grand Poobah this week, and your MVP, though, is going to go to Dardoch of Team Liquid. I mean, we already mentioned it. This is a guy who, although has been a part of wins and losses for this team, something about the way he plays, the early pressure he applies to the map, seems to be one of their major keys to success.
Yeah, the fact that he got so many big ganks on impact at the start of Saturday's game was huge in their win. High kill participation, high pressure. It's not a tremendous KDA, but that's because he's going extremely aggressive in creating opportunities. And we had a pretty big debate about this. Honorable mention to Reignover. It was either going to be Dardoch or Reignover as the most valuable players this week, but we had to give the nod to Dardoch because it felt like he was more of a standout within the team for Team Liquid this week.
It also makes it really tough when your games are only 19 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, how many plays can you make in 19 minutes?
Exactly, to look fabulous. But good on Dardoch there as a guy who's coming into the split, making a name for himself. Looking ahead, though, what's in store this week for you, the fans? The future is bright. It starts off Wednesday with a free-range, completely organic and locally sourced primetime league at 5 p.m. Pacific. Right after,
words.
yeah, that's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right, right after 6 p.m., tune in for week 2 of the Challenger Series with Golden Glue and the rest of them. We're looking to take down Liquid Academy. And then on Thursday, the LCS returns over in Europe with Elements facing off against Team Vitality. And a bit later in the day, it's their match of the week. First place G2 Esports taking on Origin. Of course, the North American LCS picks back up here on Saturday with Team Liquid against Team Dignitas. Then Cloud9 takes on Renegades, and we'll close out the day with Energy versus Team Impulse. In Game 3, though, it's our Spotlight Showdown with Counterlogic Gaming squaring off against the Big Bad Immortals. And with that matchup there, you've got Pobelter up against his former team, the likes of CLG. Yeah. And off of that Huhi performance right there, it might be finally that time to turn our attention towards Pobelter on Immortals, see if it's his turn to carry.
That'll be really exciting because Immortals has looked absolutely unstoppable. And Pobelter, he was benched essentially for Huhi, so it would feel good for him to get a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be an exciting game. We talked about all the time hypothesizing which team's going to be the team to hand a loss to Immortals.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would point towards CLG, possibly out of a good lane swap, or TSM as their roster kind of bulks back up. That's going to do it for our show, though, today, guys. So for myself and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Impulse, they have been making their own path, and it's been a good one so far after the first few weeks. Peekaboo, the rotation from Pyrian, maybe on time. Dardoch dashes back. Was it just enough HP to save him? We're gonna kill the wall! Oh, he gets taken down! Phoenix has the flash. He had that from last fight, but he doesn't have the cleanse. Everybody has turn around! Mash, way too close. That is a mistake for Impulse. And it's gonna be Liquid taking out Impulse. The same idea in mind, and that's the siege. And right now they are going through everything. They have these goggles that don't even show turrets.
18 kill to 0 shutout for Energy.
I'm on Johnson, I'm on Johnson.
Okay. Yes.
Yep, keep moving. Keep going.
Nice. He goes right to the back line. They're going to be able to take down Shifter immediately. No summoners or ult even used for him. Rush claws down Apollo. Did you know? The extra 50's in their pocket.
You know, I was troll matching my keyboard in a solo queue game, and I knocked out 3 keys.
All right, guys, time to hit the lobby. Dude, you should just like legit lift up your keyboard and smash your head into it.
I lost my C key, my V key, and my alt key.
Can you help?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Look.
In case I'm tipping.
Listen, load. Can you guys rotate a butt? Rotate a butt.
Kill Adrian. What happened? Kill Adrian. Oh my god.
13-1 as Immortals win the game. Zaref on the back lines. Here comes the push. Exhausted early. Stixay takes it down. Pops QSS, but Alex is in. Stixay forces a flash to stay alive, but there's the kill into Alex. Corky is gone.
Hey, can I backing up? Exhausted. Okay, we can right now. I got him. I'm gonna flash to DJ. Go. Nice. CLG moving to second place with the win.